Hi everyone and welcome to a YouTube re-upload of a featured discussion we had on the podcast back in December. We thought it was time we uploaded this one because as the year goes on, this is going to get less and less relevant. I don't know, is it more relevant but less likely the things we talked about?
Speculated on this like the year before the event was due to take place. The more time passes, the more details begin to emerge about what is actually going to happen. For example, we talk about whether it should be a live episode in this.
By the way, we're talking about the 60th anniversary. We haven't actually said that yet. I assume if you clicked on this video, you know what we're talking about. But go on, what were you saying about the live?
Ian MacLeod said it's not going to be a live episode, so when he's speculating about that, now that's no longer relevant. But
yeah, but I think a lot of the other things that we're talking about in here could still happen.
Yes, we've spoken about a bit some of maybe what the plot could be about, what other peripheral things could happen around to celebrate the anniversary.
Yeah, and also we talk a little bit about what Coronation Street has done in the past to mark other anniversaries. There's about, if you just want to know what we want to have happen for the 60th, skip to around 33 minutes or so into this video, and then it should you should get to the bit you want. But if you want to know a little bit of history about what Corrie's done for the 10th, 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th anniversaries, then keep on listening. It's a bit of a long video, but I really did enjoy having this discussion, so hopefully you'll enjoy listening to it too if you haven't heard it yet. But anyway, without further ado, here we go. Here are our predictions, our wishes for the 60th anniversary celebrations in Corrie.
You only get 3.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a criteria.
Ian MacLeod is the genie granting us these wishes. We're going to have to expect them all to come true.
I got more than 3, but...
Well, we'll find out what they are.
We'll find out, won't we? Here we go. So, Gemma, it's time to get our prediction hats on and our wish lists out because we're going to be talking for a little bit now about Corrie's 60th anniversary, which is coming up in 1 year's time. This time, it's the 9th of December, so a little bit early, a year and a bit. We'll be there watching whatever Coronation Street can pull out the bag to celebrate its diamond anniversary.
With a fantastic end of year 2020 diamond celebration for Coronation Street.
Yeah, and it's on a Wednesday, which means it's a perfect day for Corrie. It's going to be something that's like, a whole week-long celebration, maybe culminating in a Wednesday. But
you can't culminate anything on a Wednesday, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you can. So before we get into that, I thought it might be worth kind of tempering our expectations or setting the boundaries or whatever, looking back at what Corrie's done in anniversaries past. And it's fair to say that for the first 20 years of Coronation Street, they didn't particularly mark the anniversaries. The 10th anniversary...
The tepid 10s.
As always, my information comes from Corriepedia and very little else. For the 10th anniversary, they said it wasn't said that this is 10 years since the first episode of Coronation Street, but they didn't really do anything special at all on the programme. Betty Turpin was made head barmaid at the Rovers. I suppose that's kind of important. Emily Bishop organised a street outing to the Manchester Opera House to see Cinderella. By the way, get your tickets now unless it's too late, because Conor McIntyre and Les Dennis are back on stage, probably as we speak, doing their Ugly Sisters.
Oh, in Nottingham.
Yes, in Nottingham, exactly. And also Irma Barlow is feeling trapped by Joe Donnelly, although not exactly trapped as much as she will do, because she's going to get hostage taken in a few episodes' time.
She said the fatal words of doom, which is what I said, which was it can't get worse than this. And then it did.
So yeah, I mean, nothing particularly big for the 10th anniversary, and same for the 20th as well. It pretty much went unmarked. There was a cast party and a special TV Times cover to mark the 2000th episode in June.
The tempered 20s.
Yes. But there wasn't even an episode on the 9th of December in 1979. There was one on the 8th and the 10th, as per usual. Emily Bishop found out that her husband, Arnold, is a bigamist, and that's twice I've called her Emily Bishop when she wasn't actually Emily Bishop. She was Emily Nugent in the 10th and Emily Swain, I guess, in this one. But Tilsey was made redundant, and Stan Ogden found out that he wasn't allergic to beer, he was allergic to eggs. So I mean,
bet he went, thank God for
if it found out that Stan was allergic to beer, that probably would have been a momentous occasion. But no, still pretty tepid on the 20th.
I would rather be allergic to beer than eggs, I have to say.
I think I could live if I was allergic to beer.
I don't think I'd ever find out. Maybe that's why I
don't know why Stan... I mean, can you develop allergies? I guess you can.
Yes,
because if Stan was going to be allergic to beer, he maybe would have found out by that point.
No, this is the dreadful thing. You can develop them.
So 30th is when it starts to warm up and people are like, oh, these anniversaries, you know, people do things for this.
The furtive 30s.
This was this 30 Ruby anniversary, I think. So
what's the 10th? You need to find this out before
I need to find out. Need to find out in the next 8 months. I'm sure it's.
I'm going to find out because I want to be lavished with them, whatever it is.
So 1990 was quite a big year for Coronation Street anyway, because that was when they moved production from the main Granada Studios complex into Stage 1, which is like a refurbished warehouse next to the outdoor set. So that was really handy that they could do the indoor and the outdoor filming. Near each other. There was loads of sets for loads of space for the main sets to stand permanently, rather than saying, well, you can only have a small number of sets for this week's episode because we don't want to. We got to break down other ones and so on. So this was a great move for them already. It was a time of change in 1990 for Corrie. The maisonettes that are there on the other side of the street had just gone up. The shops, so the cabin as well. The salon. I'm not sure whether the salon opened in 1990 or whether it was. No, it was probably. Might have been Emily Bishop's charity shop, but anyway, it was starting to look a bit more like Modern Street, and there was a new title sequence in October. I would have thought they might have left it until December to hit the anniversary, but never mind.
They hadn't quite got there with the whole...
Hadn't quite got there, but they did do a very, very lavish celebration on ITV on the anniversary of the 30th anniversary. There was a 90-minute programme called Happy Birthday Coronation Street, hosted by Cilla Black, and it was just a big do for all the cast to come along to and sit in the audience while various variety acts, mostly related to Coronation Street, played out on stage. So there was like red carpet treatment, the fireworks as the cast arrived, there were clip montages, there was interviews with some of the present cast, current cast, also the contemporary cast, should I say. There was a few skits as well, like Roy Barraclough, who played Alec Gilroy, and Les Dawson used to do they were like a duo called Sissy and Ada, like a drag kind of duo, and they did a Coronation Street theme, one of them, where I think they were getting ready to get a job interview at the Rovers or something. Jean Alexander and Doris Speed showed up. Now, they hadn't been in the show for a little while, so that was quite nice to see them again. I'm saying this as if I watched it at the time. I didn't. It's on YouTube, so it's worth seeing if you like, razzmatazz and the glitz and the glamour of these kind of celebrations. Do have a look for the Happy Birthday Coronation Street on YouTube. There were clips of stars from the other soaps wishing Corrie a happy birthday.
I love all this.
And there was a
stuff.
very weird ending where they cut to Cliff Richard, who was in the middle of a concert at Wembley, and they had him. I think they had the crowd sing "Happy Birthday" to Coronation Street or something.
That's amazing.
A bit weird, but
no,
back
what
then
do you mean?
Cliff was known
Richard's
as a
still
Corrie
a legend.
fan.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well,
what do you mean?
No, okay, fine. He is. More so back then, I have to say.
Also in Christmas is Christmas time. It's Cliff's time.
Also in 1990, they had some video compilations. So they released some VHSs of different years of the show. Each of them was presented by a cast member. I think you can possibly get clips of that on YouTube as well.
For goodness sake, you can get them on eBay.
There was a book by Graham Kay called Coronation Street, celebrating 30 years, 1960 to 1990. I don't know whether that was an official one or not. I've got a feeling it wasn't, but I'm not too sure.
How clever of them to have started in a nice...
Yeah, around year. Yeah. And then with all of this, they almost had it, but they forgot to put anything in the show. Nothing really interesting happened at all on the show itself.
Coronation Street was in its 30th year, and they were just very sure that what people wanted was just the same thing they had before.
Exactly. They didn't want it to feel like artificial and
in 1990,
drama for the sake of just an anniversary.
It was still basically the 80s.
Yeah, they're just...
It was just, get on with it. We're British. We don't really need to worry about these things.
But on the whole, 30th was a good start to the celebrations, which would then ramp up for the 40th and the 50th.
Well, you know what they say, when you hit 30, it's all downhill from there.
How are you finding that?
Tragic.
Do you rather be 30 than 37?
Don't talk to me. 30th is Pearl anniversary.
Okay.
20th is China. I assume the tableware, not the country. And the 10th year is tin or aluminium. Okay. So I don't want to be lavished with tin and aluminium.
Okay, fine. Tin, that's like, I'm going to get you some new pans for the kitchen.
No,
the anniversary dinner.
You absolutely should not do that.
40th, so.
40th, which is
that
Ruby.
One Ruby? That's the one that I thought. Ruby. Not Ruby Steak.
No.
Ruby Dobb, sorry. So, 40th, this is the first one that I personally remember watching, and the first time that they actually did something proper to mark the anniversary on the show. And that year, Jane McNaught had taken over as producer, and she was well known for increasing the number of issues-based stories on Coronation Street. So if you think like Sarah Louise pregnancy, for example, that was all around that time.
And this was the year 2000.
This was the year 2000.
This was the year when we thought we were going to be in the future.
Yeah.
And I remember watching A Tomorrow's World when I was younger, and they promised me I was going to be 18 in the year 2000, and they promised me I would have household robots and flying cars.
Household robots, flying cars, and 12-year-old girls getting pregnant on Coronation Street. Well, one out of three isn't bad.
And you can put jam on a CD and play it, and it still work.
One of the other things that Jane McNaught was known for was increasing the rate of big episodes. So more frequently they'd have, a wedding or a death or a big reveal or something, because she wanted to keep the momentum going throughout the year in the lead up to the 40th anniversary. Big news for the set extension that year was that the Victoria Street extension was unveiled, and that's extension, how it was before the most recent extension. So we now had where the kebab shop is, Roy's. The builder's yard and so on. So that was
cab
quite
office
cool.
on the corner.
Yeah.
Is that technically Victoria Street?
Yes. Well, it's Victoria, is it Rosamond? I'm not sure.
Well, Rosamond Street is where the bus stop is.
Yeah.
And then I think, if you go round the corner there, that's where the actual door to the cab office is. But the whole cab office sort of runs behind the bus stop and goes around the corner.
So it's on the corner.
Yeah.
So the big, the centrepiece of the celebration really was the 40th anniversary episode, which was the first live episode that Coronation Street had done since 1961. And there's only been a few lives since then, haven't there?
Yeah.
But this was a big thing, I remember, because obviously at the beginning of Coronation Street, I think every other episode was live, but they stopped after about a year and a half. It's like, can't be bothered with this, it's too much effort, and all the episodes have to be nighttime scenes, although they're all filmed indoors, so you never know.
Well, it was kind of theatrical. It was more of a theatrical kind of thing, wasn't it, back in the day, because it was live. It was like being watching a play.
Yeah.
Whereas now things are live, and the only reason I kind of feel that they're live is because you're watching it. Honestly, I think the only reason they do it live is because people will tune in to see if it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it's sad but true.
And I think with some of these earlier episodes of Coronation Street, things did go wrong. Occasionally, I think they were pretty good. But this was back to live, and that's been like the hallmark of the big anniversary episodes ever since.
Well, when things go wrong in a live soap episode, I think you
Hello, Adam. Who can forget that?
What?
Do you remember on EastEnders when they did that live episode and the person called the actor by their name?
Oops. I think you can just write it off as being charming and eccentric rather than being a terrible mistake. I think
there was like a couple of minor, minuscule, sort of blink and you miss it flubs on the 40th anniversary, but on the whole they did pretty well.
Actor who's listening who might be taking part in a 60th anniversary live episode, just remember, it's charming. If you do it wrong, it's not a terrible career-ending mistake.
No. So the plots of this episode was it all revolved around the Weatherfield Council's plan to tarmac the cobbles. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
I do remember this.
This very realistic thing that probably would have happened if
a long time ago.
Yeah, but
if this was a real street in England, there would be patches of concrete and tarmac all over the place.
Yeah,
they don't care. They just rip it up and put a broadband in, and everyone who lives on the street would be like, well, it's broadband, so. Well,
led by Ken, the residents banded together and they stopped the cobbles being tarmacked with, I think it was a last minute decree from the council that was brought to them by Noddy Holder. I think I remember there were a couple of guest appearances and that. We had Noddy Holder playing a friend of Les Battersby's, maybe, I can't remember.
Who's Noddy Holder?
Noddy Holder from Slade.
Okay.
It's Chris.
He's the only person I know who's called Noddy. I was just checking.
Okay, not Noddy from Toy Town.
Or isn't he an elf in...
No, you're thinking of Noddy the toy. Noddy the blue hat, red jacket.
The gnome?
Yeah, you're thinking of the same one as me. Trevor McDonald also made an appearance on this as news footage, and the footage he was introducing was Audrey meeting Prince Charles. So that was obviously pre-recorded stuff, but that was pretty cool that they got those three people. Although it does take it out of it a little bit, doesn't it, when they have real celebrities on Coronation Street?
Well, no,
Lorraine Kelly.
Trevor, yeah, but he was in place, wasn't he? Trevor McDonald on the TV doing the news.
Yeah, he wasn't just like in the next bed along from Vera Duckworth, who's getting a kidney.
Hello, what are you in for? I think the NHS is on the down low because...
I'm here in Weatherfield General Hospital.
In a mixed ward for some reason.
I don't know what Trevor McDonald's up to anymore. Does he still do the news? He's not dead, is he? I don't think he's dead. He's pretty old. Moving on. Maybe he'll be back for the 60th.
I love Trevor McDonald because...
Everybody loves him. He's a national institution.
No, but when I went to one of the Lord of the Rings premiere to stand outside and wave at celebrities, and it was a showing, and obviously all the big stars had already seen it, so they didn't bother watching it and they came out early, but all the other ones watched it to the end, and then they came out and then all my friends were going, oh look, it's Blue, look, it's whatever, all these celebrities I've never heard, and I literally only recognised Trevor McDonald, and I went, Trevor! And he looked at me and he waved, and that is my claim to fame. Trevor McDonald waved knows who I am.
So as I insinuated earlier, the other plot that ran alongside this was that Vera Duckworth was donating a kidney to her grandson Paul. I think it was supposed to be Terry Duckworth that donated it, but he did a runner at the end because he's a wrong one, as we all know.
He's nasty.
But he did appear briefly at the end. Now I tip my hat to Liz Dawn for this episode because she had to be unconscious, in inverted commas. She had to pretend to be knocked out after a surgery for the live episode, and if there had been like a sneeze or a smile or a twitch or anything like that, it would have blown it. And
don't you think if you were going to pick what you're going to do for the live episode, you'd go, can I just be unconscious? I would.
It's probably something you sign up for, and then when you're there on your bed you think, I can't move, otherwise I'm going to blow the whole thing.
I really think it's so mean for the actors to give them live episodes.
Some of them love it, and some of them terrified.
Well, it's
I'm sure
obviously
some of them
there's a bit of a theatre background for some of them, but it's not what it's not in your comfort zone.
Not what you sign up for, is it?
Not really, especially because a lot of these, not this episode so much, but future ones and future special episodes involve stunts.
Yes.
Which are difficult to do live, and you don't really get that in the theatre.
Quite. So big episodes are often well known for having characters returning to Coronation Street as well, shows in general. And this we saw the return of Andrea Clayton and Connie Clayton, the first time that they'd been in the show since 1985. Well, I think only one of them was played by the original actress. Now this was Paul Clayton's mum and grandmum and... Terry Duckworth.
Who's Paul Clayton?
Paul Clayton is one of Terry Duckworth's offspring. He spawned a Clayton in the 1985, and then they were like, I'm not having him as a dad, and buggered off somewhere. I've got a feeling, and I may well be wrong here. That might have been. No. I'm thinking of Peter Barlow coming back, and maybe he came back for the Millennium episode, or maybe it was this. I don't know. Not sure. Wow, never mind. Andrew and Connie Clayton. I spent ages researching. It's really interesting, I thought. I hope you all agree, listeners. I've been going on about it for so long. Now, also that year, we had a new book, Coronation Street, 40 Years of Coronation Street by Darren Little, which is a bit of another Bible. If Corriepedia has ever not got enough information about whoever it is that I'm looking for, and it takes place in the first 40 years, this book is what I go straight for, because it's got like 3 or 4 big pages of small writing about what happened in Coronation Street each year. There's some pictures, and it's like organised by storyline as well. So if I want to know what happened to Percy Sugden in 1990, I can go there, find his section, and learn all about it. So that's a really, really good read, and well worth getting hold of if you're into that sort of thing.
Which you might be.
You might be. Also, I suppose that of note that year as well, we had the Coronation Street's first two-hander, which was more to celebrate the millennium than the 40th, because that happened 11-12 months beforehand. But this is Curly and Raquel, or Raquel's return to Coronation Street for the first time in 2-3 years maybe, so obviously that has a place in my heart, and I watched that recently. Very good episode. Gemma, I've done enough talking for this, so I'm going to let you take over and read out what I researched for you for the 50th, which is the first one that you've watched, wasn't it? And one of my main memories of this was that you cooked a Betty's hot pot for my dinner as we watched the live episode.
Yes, I did, didn't I?
We made a big thing of this.
Oh yeah, we definitely pushed the boat right out with a hot pot, didn't we? The 50th was the gold anniversary of Coronation Street, and they had 7 episodes in the anniversary week in December, including an hour-long live episode, because what happened?
Tram crash.
Only a bloody tram crashed on the street. But remember, everybody, it was not driver error. It
was not the driver's fault, because he pressed that brake and they made sure that we all saw.
He pressed it very, very hard.
Deliberately.
And I like the way that the tram, it was because I don't know what the company... It was an
explosion in the joinery, wasn't it?
I don't know what the company is who...
Transport for Manchester,
Manchester, whatever, who's in charge of the tram, but they were saying to Coronation Street, you can't have it being our fault, but they kind of threw whoever makes their brake system under the bus a little bit, under the tram.
There's only so much you can brake if you're being flung through the air by an explosive gas ball of fire.
And the guy who makes the brakes for that tram sitting at home watching it going, fair enough, yeah. I didn't really think that one that would happen. So okay, so so that happened. Then they had a TV show about the making of the live episode called Coronation Street Uncovered Live.
Yeah, I think that was on ITV2 or something. So it was like everyone saying, "Phew, thank goodness for that, we made it."
Lots of people standing around in big padded jackets, going, "I'm about to go on, and I don't know if I'll do it." And then. Oh, I did it really well.
Was that the one? I don't know whether it was that or whether it was ITV's 60th live show and the after show for that, where they had somebody propose to somebody. Do you remember you could write in and have a notice written on the little chalkboard in the Rovers and somebody proposed or something? I don't remember.
Many happy thingies. There was also a 2-part tribute show on the 7th and the 9th of December called Coronation Street 50 Years, 50 Moments.
So that was like I think it was a countdown of the top 50 moments of Coronation Street.
There was also a quiz called Coronation Street The Big 50, which had cast members and other celebrity fans being quizzed, I guess, on Coronation Street facts.
I'm guessing
stuff. That. Yeah. Like, what do they say? What language do they speak on the Isle of Man? And how many times Coronation Street done a ghost hunting programme? So far, 2 that we know of. But I'm gonna write in.
Is this your number 1 on your wish list for the 60th anniversary?
Please, can we do another ghost hunting show with whoever wants to do one? And can I be in it? Because I would just love it so much. I want Sanya Matthews to come along because I think she's a bit sceptical about paranormal activity.
You got to have a skeptic in the group.
And I think she would spend the whole time going, what a load of old rubbish. That wasn't supposed to be an impression, but anyway, that's not what she says. Then we also had a book.
No, this isn't a book.
TV show called The Road to Coronation Street by Darren Little.
That was so good. This was a drama on BBC.
This was actually on BBC 4, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, ITV made it, and it's like, this is too highbrow for ITV.
I don't want any adverts in this. I want people to watch it all the way through.
This was fantastic. So the story of how Coronation Street... The idea came to Tony Warren, how he had to fight to get it on screen. Everyone said, no, nobody's going to want to watch this.
It wasn't a documentary. It was like a dramatised TV show about the making of Coronation Street with actors playing all the roles.
Yeah, actors playing Violet Carson, Pat Phoenix,
I do remember
Bill
watching
Roach.
it. I remember being quite impressed.
It was fantastic. Oh, I just loved it. We need to watch it again. It's cool. Do look at it online if you haven't seen it. What else did we have for the 50th? There was loads. There was a special episode of Celebrity Juice.
Is that guy?
Keith Lemon.
I hate him.
I hate Keith Lemon as well. I don't get.
Who's the guy who does it?
I don't remember. Lee Francis.
He's funny, but Keith Lemon is literally his worst character of all time.
We used to love him on Bo Selector, and he had so many great characters on that. And Keith Lemon was always the one that's like, I don't really like these sketches. And now that's what he's been for at least 10 years now. There was it's literally
the whole joke about Keith Lemon is he has a slight speech impediment.
maybe there's more subtlety to it if you watch it. I don't know.
Well, we haven't ever
I'm sure we've got some Keith Lemon
There was
fans
also
out
a
there.
Come Dine With Me special with Julie Goodyear, Ken Morley, Philip Middlemas and Tupeli Dorgu, who gets another mention on the show.
I know, no,
For the third time. It was worth doing all that, wasn't it?
I can't remember who won. I think it was Phil Middlemath.
I remember watching it and it was a bit of a car crash.
Well, it did have Ken Morley on.
And Julie Goodyear. Talk about Battle of Egos.
I know.
They also had an online series called Gary's Army Diaries, which was about him being in the army and about his, I don't know...
Tragic,
terrible experiences. They did a few of these online mini episode things in this decade, and I kind of think they've given up now.
They hadn't had one for a while. I'm not
fussed about it particularly. They had a tram crash news flash online starring newsreader Alistair Stewart.
Yeah, that was they had. I think there were like a few episodes as the week went on.
Trevor McDonald, you need Alistair Stewart.
It was like pretend news snippets where they were interviewing the characters in character, like trams just dropped on the shop.
And then they also had, was this just an online thing? Ken, A Life on the Street, which was clips of Ken talking about his past in the wake of the crash in character.
Yeah, he was talking to Simon, I think. Like, if I really, really think back, my life was in black and white.
Just like all old people.
They also repeated the first episode as well, which I guess they'll probably do again. I'll be surprised if we don't get a repeat of episode 1 this year. There was a ton of merchandise released to mark the 50th as well. So all of those tram crash episodes, those 7 were released on DVD. They did another straight-to-DVD feature-length special, and this is Coronation Street, A Knight's Tale. And that's one of the ones that we haven't seen yet. It had it was when a couple of them go off to Tatlock Towers, I believe, and there's Reg Holdsworth and Curly Watts were reunited in it. I think Rosie was in it. I can't remember who else. Oh, and it also had Brian Capron playing the role of like a boat boatman or something. And somebody remarks about how he looks a little bit like Richard Hillman.
I always love it when they do that.
And I need to. I think we need to watch that at some point.
They also released a 12-episode DVD set called the Golden Anniversary Collection.
I think I probably got that for Christmas that year.
I think we had 2 of those.
We had 2 of them. I think we might have sold one of them on eBay, but the other one's knocking about somewhere. Unless we got really desperate and sold the second one too.
No,
that was quite cool. There's just episodes from like the big episodes from the first 50 years, and I think there were like a few interviews. I think there was a few like documentary clips and everything. So that's again worth getting your hands on.
I really, really want Coronation Street to do a streaming service for every single episode of Coronation Street.
I know.
I don't imagine it would make any sense financially.
Let's get to our hopes and predictions in a minute.
They also released a book called 50 Years of Coronation Street.
Yeah, we've got that one.
How predictable.
I'm looking at it right now. It's in the gold section of our bookcase. That was okay. So I think the 40th is better for me when I'm doing research because, like I said, it's organised very nicely, and this one it's bigger text and more pictures, but it's still quite a nice update, I suppose, to the original one.
Sean Egan wrote a book called 50 Years of Coronation Street, The Very Unofficial Story. They also released the Souvenir magazine.
Yes.
Which in the trade we call Bookazine. Oh. FYI. There was an album very eccentrically produced, which was called Coronation Street, Rogues, Angels, Heroes and Fools, which was songs about Coronation Street, which were partly sung by cast members.
It was, this was one that we listened to once.
This sounds like it was made up, but it's actually really a thing that happened.
I don't know where our copy of it is, but I won it in a competition, and I don't even remember. I think it was an Inside Soap magazine competition, and it had, I got like a couple of autobiographies, and there was that, and I think that might be where I got the other 50th anniversary DVD box set from, you know. And
I think you're right, actually.
And on one drive up to see Mum and Dad, we listened to this album. It was quite nice.
I have a vivid memory of this.
It was some of the cast was singing, I think, and there were other just, session singers that were singing, but they were all songs about certain stories
really
on Coronation
weird.
Street. Like there was one song I remember called Woman Stanley Woman, and it was like Hilda and Stan singing back and forth about their second honeymoon. I like that song.
This was all obviously before we started the podcast.
Yeah. No. This was before we started the podcast, but when we listened to it, it was after we started the podcast, because I remember us talking about it one episode. Yeah. This is going to be our first big anniversary for the podcast.
There was also a 2 CD collection of songs from the 60s and 70s called Coronation Street Magical Memories.
Yeah, nothing to do with Coronation Street, I believe, just the branding on the front cover.
A 1,000-piece jigsaw.
Ooh.
I feel like I'm reading stuff off of the conveyor belt in
Generation
Game.
Is there a cuddly toy, Michael?
There were 12 different Radio Times covers, which also included coverage inside of a Tony Warren interview.
What's it called, Gemma, when one issue of a magazine has a variety of covers for you to choose from?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you'd tell me.
I don't know, we've never done it. No one will give us money. Also, Jonathan Harvey wrote a stage play, which has still been performed recently.
Oh, yeah, by the amateur
Corrie,
group.
with an exclamation mark on the end.
Yeah, they toured the country and they had a few Coronation Street stars from the past sort of doing roles in it. They had like narration. I think Roy Barraclough did a bit of it. So, yeah, I heard good things about that. But for some reason, we didn't go to see it when it came to Southampton. It was literally quarter of an hour down the road.
Probably because
from
you were
us.
too stingy.
Probably
you
was.
You missed out on a lot of things in life because you're stingy.
I know.
There were also a couple of games that were produced. One was called Corrie Arcade, which was on Facebook, which had a lot of like little mini games like.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the reason that I found out about this is I did a little, when I was Googling for this, I was searching for Coronation Street games, and the page for it is still visible, but you can't do anything on it. So there's a blurb that was on the page that's try your hand at shaving Kevin's tash, kidnapping Derek Wilton's gnome, and much more. It's very simple to play and a lot of fun. So I don't know whether any of our listeners remember that. I don't remember that at all. What I do remember is Coronation, which was
you got really mad when this turned out to be a bit of a
flop in the end. It was one of these, city building games that are quite popular on phones these days. That made me sound like a real old man. Where you could...
I think you and your dad are the only people that still play the
Simpsons one.
Simpsons one. Every single time I go round, Michael and his dad, you can rely that this is I think they only play it so they have something to talk about with each other, because after the how are you dries up, then it turns to, have you got Mo? What did you get in the new event? Yeah. Oh, I unlocked the power plant. Oh, have you got the three-eyed fish? Yes.
Well, this was kind of like that, but at a much reduced scale. So it's one of these things where you can earn virtual currency by sending characters to do jobs, and then you could buy houses, but I think you had to put them in the order that they are in the street. There was no like make your own redesigned Weatherfield or anything like this. It was just earn the house and it appears in its place, and then you could put like characters' cars down. Like there was a Rosie's car and a Derek's paperclip car. There was, and the characters themselves, which were really cool caricatures of them, would I think stay stationary on the street, but they were like sort of animated standing still. It was kind of fun, but it was on Facebook, so you could only play it on PC, and they would also update it when something big happened on the show. So it launched a few months, I don't remember, before the 50th anniversary, and when the tram crash happened, like the street on Coronation had a tram crash through it. It was a really ambitious thing to do, but I don't think that whoever the company was behind it had quite the same kind of scope or resources or whatever as obviously someone like EA does for the Simpsons Tapped Out game and some of these other ones. But one of my biggest hopes that I know is never going to happen for the 60th anniversary is that they really go to town with this and release something for phones. A Coronation Street city building game where you can put the houses wherever you want, unlock characters. I talked about this on the podcast earlier this year or late last year, I think. I would probably spend a lot of money on this.
No, you wouldn't. No.
But maybe I could say, can we promote this on the podcast, and they could give me a load of virtual currency for free.
You're not going to be a Coronation whale, Michael.
Oh, I could be though. If they released a Coronation Street city building app, I would drop the Simpsons like Audrey drops a mic.
Well,
it would be fantastic.
Would be devastated.
I would love it. I'd get him to go on it as well. With this Coronation on the Facebook as well, there was promise that it would be expanded, like round the edges. There was like writing on the floor that was like, why do Weatherfield
You're really
coming soon?
way too invested in this.
It never came. I know this.
I know.
So that's basically what we had for the 50th anniversary.
You talk about this with as much passion, joy, and longing as I talk about winning the lottery.
I really want a Corrie mobile game.
If I win the lottery, I will pay
me.
somebody to develop this for you, and we'll go to ITV and we'll pitch it to them, okay?
Okay, deal. Right, so finally, after about half an hour or more of talking about what they've done for anniversaries past, I suppose we better look ahead now and to this time next year and see what do we reckon that they're going to do, what do we want them to do to celebrate the big 6-0 on Coronation Street. Now, a couple of things have already been announced, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they have.
Do you want to say more?
They are going to produce or have produced or have made, I don't know, an hour-long Queens of the Street documentary, which is going to feature ex-cast members, including Sally Lindsay, Julie Goodyear, Sarah Lancashire, Amanda Barry,
Sally and Matthew's cousin.
Woo! And Michelle Keegan. Why are you laughing?
You know what I'm laughing.
I don't know if that she'll be. I think they're going to have to make sure that they put.
They're going to have to
her
make
name
sure
in
that
big
she is
letters
captioned
underneath, because she doesn't look anything like.
She doesn't look like Michelle Keegan
used to,
anymore.
and that's all we're going to say. Mikey North in August said he has spoken to Ian MacLeod a couple of weeks ago. I think he has got plans for the 60th and stuff, which sounds really, really exciting. But obviously there's a lot of stuff to happen before then. Whether that happens or not, I don't know.
So Mikey is his exclusive reveal there is that there's going to be stuff that happens, but before that there's got to be some other stuff.
Well, this is interesting because obviously this is Gary. Mikey North plays Gary, and Gary's descent into villainy has been one of the major storylines in Coronation Street this year. So if Ian MacLeod was talking to Mikey about what is going to happen in the 60th, it does kind of stand to reason that he thinks Gary might be around this time next year.
I've got plans for this, Mikey, but you don't need to know.
Yeah, sorry, Mikey. Can you send in some of the others outside?
We'll make you the next feeling.
Yeah.
Lorna Laidlaw also spoke briefly about it in August. Aggie. So she said, I'd absolutely love to do a live episode. That's theatre, isn't it? That's like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be buzzing to do something like that. And then Jack P. Shepherd.
Who plays David? I know it sounds stupid, but you do need to say.
He said, we're doing a live. No, I just made that up. I'm assuming it'll be that. I love them. And I think, really, we all assume, whatever predictions you can make, there will be a live episode, because that's just the done thing.
Unfortunately, they have set the bar, and now, were they to not do a live episode, I think it would...
People would be like, where's the live?
I think the thing is about it is that it does really pay homage to the way that Coronation Street started, and all soaps do live episodes, even not really soaps like The Bill did a live episode to celebrate certain milestones. And because of the theatrical origins of Coronation Street, it really does feel a bit like it's coming home to what it used to be, but it's also adding on all these extra layers of like expectations from modern audiences, which obviously adds pressure, and really would not want to be involved in doing any of this. And I take my hat off to anybody who's involved in any way planning or executing any of these live episodes. I think I would quit.
Well, not only have they set the bar by by having these lives in the past, so people expect the lives now, they also set the bar by what happens in a live episode, and I guess that part of the talk is we got to do better than the last live episode. We got to do more. We got to bigger.
Luckily, they really just started with let's have cobbles.
Yeah, let's save the cobbles. That was the testing ground.
It was really nice of
and then
them
they
to
go
start
straight from
there.
that to just have a tram crash.
Yeah, the next person
Although
was
to be
like,
fair,
"Screw this."
the actual tram crash itself, I think, was the episode before the live episode, wasn't it?
They didn't
the
have
live
an actual
the live was
tram.
it was the immediate aftermath of it. So Rita underneath her pile of sweets,
and this was the 50th.
Yes, this is the 50th.
And if you
Molly...
go to Coronation Street, the offices, they still have a big mural of
when you go up the stairs
episode of all the kind of it's a shot of the street with all the sort of people
from the medical
floor,
centre looking towards the blown up joinery. Yeah, Adam Blease, you can tell his head.
Yeah.
So on the stairs there's that, and then a bit further up there's the Inner Sharples looking over the Manchester, the iconic image. So it's that, are they going to try and top it? Or will they say, well, that was the 50th, and 50th is more important than 60th?
This is the trouble. But but you can't regress. You can't regress.
I think they could get away with it, but if they don't regress, if they do try and top the 50th, then they'll have to top it again for the 70th, and they'll have to top it again for the 80th. So
I'm going to say something else. You're going to have to top it for the 75th too, because that is also a very significant number.
Yeah. Well,
the thing is, Coronation Street really needs to cement its reputation as the premier soap in this country. There's always competition. They have to make a big deal about the fact that it's their 60th to show that they are, the original soap. And also, they've got, on the face of it, not that I know what's going on in their books, but they've got more money coming in from the sponsorships from Costa and Co-op.
Yeah.
And perhaps those companies will be saying to them, what we're going to get for being your sponsor for your 60th year. Are we going to, is the Costa going to run out of milk, and that's going to be the main... They have to buy it from the Co-op.
I can't imagine that the Costa is going to be the focal point.
I don't think at all. I don't think anything to do with the branding is going to come into it. But I'm just pointing out that Coronation Street has sort of increased its revenue streams.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's to make up for shortcomings in other revenue streams, which probably is the case, because viewership goes down every year because of streaming.
Yeah.
But Coronation Street can't go back on what it has done before, because it needs to maintain a reputation, which is where the money comes from.
I still think that they aren't going to go for something quite as big as the 50th.
Have to.
Especially with all the extra programmes. There'll be some, and we've got this Queens of the Street, for example, and I'm sure there'll be a after live reaction, Stephen Mulhern presents, kind of thing.
Can we be on it?
But
whatever you do, can we be on it, please?
I do wonder whether there'll be anything, for fans.
Because do you remember when they did Game of Thrones,
fans.
Right? They had what was it called?
Thronecast.
And Sue Perkins and everything had that really lacklustre party where everyone pretended that they didn't mind that it ended like crap and talked about how awesome it was. And they had like celebrities and other actors and stuff talking about, oh yeah, it was brilliant. Why don't they do that for Coronation Street? It'd be so cheap compared to what the other things they could do. It'd be live. All you have to do is get a load of alcohol, you get a bunch of snacks, you get a bunch of ex-actors, you get a bunch of super fans. Just saying, super fans here, 1, 2, you, me. Don't have to invite the cat, we can get my mum to look after her. And just, you get an hour of programming for peanuts. Get some celebrity. Don't get Keith Lemon, for God's sake. Get somebody to present it who loves Coronation Street. It's an hour of telly people would watch. Yeah,
I do reckon that they'll have some kind of competition where fans can win a chance to go and see a screening of it, and that might be a screening at the studios. So then,
of the live episode?
Yeah, maybe. I've got a feeling that they did do something like that for the 50th or maybe for the 60th anniversary.
No, I think this is the thing. In 10 years, you haven't taken into account in 10 years since we had the 50th. Social media and reaction videos and footage has become a genre of its own. Gogglebox is the thing, which didn't exist 10 years ago. People are interested in what other people think about stuff. That's why Twitter exists and Facebook.
Yeah.
If they don't do a live reaction show to this, they are missing a trick.
It could be
even Big Brother had one. For every single episode of Big Brother, they had an episode about what...
Big Mouth.
Yeah.
Russell Brand.
Why not? I don't think Russell Brand watches Coronation Street, but he's got a year to get into it.
That would be good, to have something for the fans, starring the fans, some of the biggest ones.
Not just fans, but also celebrity fans.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I would be perfectly happy to just stand in the background with a crisp. I don't need to be interviewed because I would probably embarrass myself, because by that point I would be drunk. But if you're going to have one of these things, which I strongly suggest you do, and I'm not at all biased by the fact that I want to be invited to it, please.
Yeah, well, if they don't do something like this, I was thinking that they should have some kind of fan convention or something, because that's something that Emmerdale does. I think they have like an annual come to the village and there'll be stars there, and
there'll be a pork bun.
Yeah, and I don't know why they get to
Stall.
do that and Coronation Street doesn't. Maybe it's just something to do with the filming location of Emmerdale and it's kind of out the way a little bit and it's in the village and there's a bit more space. But there's never been an official Coronation Street convention. Now, we had that Corrie Fest that they did a couple of times, but even that's been, 8 years or so since that happened.
Who organised that?
I can't remember who organised that. They were at Corrie Fest on Twitter.
But it wasn't official.
That wasn't official.
I know, well, there you go.
That was at the pub down the road.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So
that's why I got confused, because you were acting like it was organised by ITV.
No, I think they should do something like that. I'd be interested to know how many people would go along to it. Because the thing with Emmerdale is that its audience, it's got more of a younger audience, hasn't it? Like and the people who more Emmerdale watchers, are into the social media and are voting for the awards and everything, and the Emma kind of thing. So maybe you'd get more younger fans. Yeah, would go along to that. So I don't know whether Corrie would, but I'd like them to do that. I think that something like that would be quite cool.
What I want is when you buy these magazines which are sort of staple bound and they're like cost under £2 and they're TV Chat or like Knitting Weekly or gentle watch a sheep jump over a hedge, that kind of like boring stuff. And at the back they always have like 10 easy installments of £9.99 and you get this beautiful insert tat here. That's what they need to do, like in a beautiful bust of Pat Phoenix,
or just a beautiful
painted
beautiful
bronze
bust of Michelle Connor's bust in a wedding outfit this week.
Michelle Keegan's bust.
I was thinking of Michelle Connor, but Michelle Keegan, any of the
Michelles will do.
Michelle Collins. I don't know whether
or like how about a beautiful Coronation Street locket with your choice of celebrity on the inside, plus a lock of their hair for just 3 easy installments of $14,999.
There needs to be some merch. Maybe we'd come back to some of the merch ideas that we'd want later. But
I want a street cast in bronze, like one of those mini little, like
we've got a little mini street, haven't we?
Yeah, but I want it cast in bronze,
okay.
Michael.
Okay.
No, I want it cast in diamonds.
That's the point. So I was wondering
I want a celebrity. I want to be able to go on eBay to do a auction to get the celebrity of my choice to have a diamond tooth inserted for the show. Jack P. Shepherd.
So we talked a little bit earlier about the 10,000th episode and the fact that maybe they're not going to have anything big for it. I kind of like the idea that they don't necessarily do something absolutely monumentally huge for the 60th anniversary, but throughout the 60th year, i.e. next year, there's a kind of drip of big things. So it could be that... Do you
not think they always try really hard to make it good?
They do, but I think they could try extra hard to make it extra good throughout the year.
Like, we always tried to make it good. I don't know what you mean.
Like I was saying earlier about when that producer came in and wanted to have more regular big events, something like that, more twists. Please, more things where you don't reveal in advance every little detail about what's going to happen. I want to be spoilt for choice by next year's Bayek Award nominations.
It would be awesome if they did like the 12 months of Corrie 60th year. Like every month something really cool happens and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the show. It could be like January we do a web series about X, and then February we have a stunt in the show, and then March we release some kind of cool merch, and
exactly
April we have a special event on the street where you can come and we have a panel with like 4 of the top.
Yeah,
whatever.
So it's 2020 is the 60th anniversary of Coronation Street, and not that week at the beginning of December is the 60th anniversary.
It kind of takes some of the pressure off,
Street.
But it also adds a lot of extra pressure.
It does pressure, and there's the money side of things, isn't it? And you think
that
they would be wanting to throw money at this, but I don't know how much money they've got to throw at the moment. So I was wondering whether they could even set something off in motion on the 10,000th episode, which comes to a head for the 60th.
It would be really cool if you look back and they said, "You remember the 10,000th episode?
You thought that we didn't do anything special for that.
Remember that big button that David pressed? Well,
yeah."
It all
this
culminated.
Is what it did. It was the countdown timer. It was the 11-month countdown timer to blow up the Rovers.
Gary saying, this year I'm going to make my mark on the street and everyone's going to remember the name Gary Windass. And then on the 60th anniversary, he just kind of like scrubs out Dennis Tanner's name and puts Gary Windass on the windows.
That's probably the extent of it, isn't it?
You're being very cynical here.
I wonder.
I'm gonna put my bet on big stunt, big deal, because I really genuinely think
for the December anniversary.
For the December
they
60th,
will.
they have to do something.
They have to. I don't think it's going to be as big as the 50th.
No, they have to up the ante.
I'd like there to be more stuff through the year. I want to feel like we're celebrating
You're
the year.
talking about Ian MacLeod, who made his reputation as a soap producer with one of the best stunts of all time, the car crash scene in Emmerdale.
Yeah, the motorway crash.
Ian MacLeod has made his reputation with that scene.
And there hasn't been anything quite to that scale in his tenure, has there? The factory roof collapse was the biggest we've had.
It wouldn't surprise me to think that perhaps he has been holding back because he had a really great idea for something and he wanted to save it because he knew he would be the producer for the 60th anniversary, and he's only really just... 2018 was his first... at the end of 2018, it was around this time last year that he began his job as producer, and he would have come in knowing that he was going to be here for the 60th, and it would have been a bit silly of him to have come out the gate with something that he then had to top for the 60th anniversary. It's not just his second year in Coronation Street. This is the 60th anniversary. The pressure's on here.
I wonder whether he, in the back of his head, thinks, I've got to top the motorway crash as well, not alone the tram crash, because actually,
he kind of does.
As great as the tram crash was, I think I do quite like the motorway crash even more. Maybe I'm just saying that as a jealous, I wish they had that on my soap kind of thing.
Is always greener.
The tram crash was great, and some of the scenes they had in there, I always remember Molly's death.
The tram crash was good because it had a layered series of... It was like a domino. It was like, yes, it was impressive, but then that domino fell on so many other storylines that just kind of cascaded.
So they've got to plan very carefully. How can they make lots of stories culminate in whatever...
not just culminate in this event, but also...
And then be spin off in different directions.
Through to the next year.
Exactly. I mean, I'm thinking that maybe the Gary Windass thing is going to come to a head there, but they can't revolve the whole 60th anniversary around Gary flipping Windass. That'd be a massive letdown.
I don't agree with you.
Why?
Because I've said before on this podcast that Gary is at his prime at the moment. I think Mikey North is incredibly capable. He's being given stuff that he can handle and beyond. He's an excellent actor. He's handled everything they've thrown at him. I think he's coming into his own as a villain. I know that not everyone agrees with me. I think that he has the potential to be one of Corrie's all-time greatest villains. And I don't care what you think. He's got a year, Michael, and he's already killed 2 people. If he's going to be in the 60th anniversary, it could be the death of Gary Windass.
Yeah.
But I really do think that he's got a year to rampage through Weatherfield, causing havoc.
We'll see.
He's got the potential. I don't understand why
I'm still
you laugh
back.
at me when I say that I think Gary Windass is got so much potential.
You're right. He's got better, but I'm still reserving judgment on that. So I just want I want there to be something about one of the legacy characters as well. As great, I know Gary has been in it for 10 odd years now or more. I'd still like there to be something for Ken or Kevin or Sally or Rita or even like Jenny. And of course, I'd love to have more Jenny because we haven't seen half as much of her as I'd like to this year. But a character that's got some real history with the show, I'd like there to be something centred around them.
The danger of that is to make it low stakes, I have to say, because unless you're going to say goodbye to one of these characters, the peril is all kind of, contained.
I don't know.
Do you want to sacrifice a legacy character?
I don't want to sacrifice.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I just want them to be caught up in it and there to be real drama and, will they die?
Any drama?
Because I was also thinking, like speaking of Jenny, where are they going to focus? Because the 40th was the street itself. The 50th was kind of joinery end of the street, the viaduct end. Where is this main action going to be? And I'm thinking, the only, the biggest landmark in Coronation Street that hasn't had a landmark episode in it is the Rovers, and yes,
what are you talking about?
They've had fires, but not for the anniversary episodes. That's just a fire. It's a Britain's Got Talent week. We have those all the time. I think I'd love there to be a live episode centred around the Rovers, although maybe part of the problem with that is if they walk out the door, then they're not going to walk out straight onto the street because they're not really there. I'd like a Rovers, not a fire. That's the thing. I don't want there to be a fire. I'm not impressed by fires on Coronation Street anymore.
There's got to be some kind of violence, and there's only a very few things you can do to a building. You can blow it up, you can set it on fire, you can crash something into it, and I genuinely can't think of anything else.
It's been a while since something has crashed into the Rovers.
because Audrey has already been plagued by damp. It's not going to be damp.
What about if the tree outside Audrey's salon fell down?
Not that very special tree that they had to spend a lot of money finding.
They're like, we only just got that tree from wherever it was, halfway across the world. But that could be. But if there was a natural disaster, like that would.
Yes, like as we all know, Manchester is
prone to hurricanes, blizzards, earthquakes. Did you know that Weatherfield is on a fault line? I think that having some, like, if there was like a massive storm, and I don't know how they do it, but
rubbish.
No, I think that'd be good. I thought the storm episode of Desperate Housewives was really, really good. And that's something they have not ever done in Coronation Street before. I would think that having a street with all things blowing all over the place.
You're talking rubbish.
Why? What'd be wrong with that?
What? So Coronation Street goes, couples tram crash. Gusty winds.
Well, if you call it like that,
it's not. No one's going to like this. No, that's a stupid idea.
Call it Monsoon. Call it.
They don't have monsoons in Manchester. You're barking up the wrong tree, mate. I think they should do something in the medical centre.
Explosion in the medical centre. Well, they're in the right place for dealing with
that.
Well,
no, but you see what I mean. If they had something in the medical centre. What about if a bunch of oxygen blows up? Would have, surely, no, but you've got to think about, like, what could blow up in a hospital? The only thing I can think of is oxygen. They would have tanks. Yeah. Surely, imagine if they had a tank of loaded oxygen because somebody's having breathing problems left. I don't know how, listen, everyone who's listening to this who knows about medical stuff is thinking I'm talking nonsense, but I'm trying my best here, okay? But listen, the medical centre blows up because a load of oxygen tanks have been stored incorrectly or something because Ali's still on drugs or whatever. Then you get a bunch of people who are being treated in the medical centre suddenly escalates from, it hurt my finger to, my head's blown off. You get Dr. Gallus gets to be a hero.
I would be happy with that, I'd say.
And then also, don't forget, Michael, the vicinity of that, you've got the Rovers right in front of you. The Rovers could become a triage area. Johnny and Jenny running back and forth for the bar with, ringing tea towels and saying, want a bit of nip of brandy there, Rita, for the shock. I know you weren't even here. You just came here on the tram.
Just in case we were giving out nips of brandy for free.
But you see what I mean? Can you imagine the Rovers being turned into a triage area?
I wouldn't mind that.
For residents who've been caught up in the great oxygen blast of
I wouldn't mind that, but
Rosamond
I just
Street.
don't. I think the idea of an explosion or a fire is just going to, for me, feel a bit like been there, done that.
There's only so much you can do. How about the Weatherfield, what's it called? Traveller? What's that bus called? Wayfarer. Driving past the medical centre, when it blows up, crashes into the hairdressers.
I think that would feel too much like they were just trying to ape the 50th because there was an explosion that made the tram crash in the 50th. If they have an explosion that makes a bus crash...
Well, the thing is, the only other thing I can think of is a plane crashes, and we've already had that on Emmerdale.
I've had it on Emmerdale, but I wouldn't mind that on Coronation Street, honestly. But at the end of the day, if they have any kind of crash, there's a bit of suspension of disbelief in order because people will go, "Oh, remember that tram crash that happened exactly 10 years ago today? Oh, wouldn't it be a coincidence if there was another massive disaster that happened? Oh, what do you know? A plane's just fallen out of the sky. I thought things couldn't get any worse than 10 years ago, unless they had some kind of, vigil or memorial service.
Alia was not involved, so she wouldn't.
To mark the sad passing of Charlotte Hoyle and Ashley Peacock.
Nobody's around that cares about these characters anymore.
Yeah, okay,
on
maybe
street.
You're right.
Maybe Claire can come back from France.
Oh, Claire, yeah. Well, I wonder, we'll surely get some returns this year. I mean, already the last couple of years, there's been some returns in Coronation Street, mostly just for a little while, like how we had Kevin's sister earlier this year. We had Martin Platt came in for a bit. We've had the odd one or two, so I wouldn't be surprised if that continued. And there's still the possibility of Jim McDonald coming back as well, which is rumoured, but nothing's been confirmed. Could this be the year where they say, let's give one last hurrah to Bet Lynch? Maybe she could be in the Rovers and the Rovers explodes, and she...
Oh, God.
And that's her final resting place.
In Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, and a few weeks later, they're still picking bits of leopard skin and dangly earrings out of Audrey's tree.
What about something that happens on the new set with, what about a siege?
Siege,
What about a hostage siege kind of...
I kind of feel there's got to be danger of death if you're going to up the stakes.
This is what I mean.
Or actual death. Could there be
it has to be
a character murdered?
No, it can't just be a murder. It's got to be a mass murder.
A massacre.
The massacre of Vicky Garden.
I want there to be something that's going to be unexpected. The thing is, I know that they will announce, they'll tell us what it is beforehand. My biggest wish about anything is that there's a couple of massive twists that we don't see coming.
Yeah, like Raquel cooking a shotgun.
Raquel coming back. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Raquel coming back as the character the actress plays in Happy Valley.
Yeah.
Again, I've gone away, come back, I've become a police officer, and I'm going to arrest everyone for drugs.
We could have Thelma Barlow. That'd be another big return. Who played Mavis, because that's been over 20 years since she'll have been in the show. Especially if there's something around Rita. And I think I've seen some people suggesting online that this could be Barbara Knox's last hurrah. But I don't think that they would ever plan to write Rita out until she wants to. It'd be, if Barbara wants to leave, she'll leave. But I don't think they'll say, you know what, Babs, sorry, your time's up. 60th, you've had a good run. So I don't know, but having Mavis back would be good. Obviously, I'd like Irma Barlow, but that wouldn't be anywhere near the same stakes.
I think that any actor who wants to leave in the next year is going to be a target for dying in
the most horrible fashion,
or having, for leaving in this episode. I really think if I was the producer and somebody came to me and said, I think I want to move on, I would say, can you wait until December?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to just die. You can also be the perpetrator of a crime who gets taken into custody. You could be somebody who's so traumatised by it that they leave, like Claire did when Ashley died.
Yeah. There
are lots of reasons why a character would leave, not necessarily related to them dying, but they have to have somebody big die.
Yeah. But then I don't...
None of my favourites, please.
I don't know. I wonder how macabre they're going to make it.
Don't say macabre.
Because, especially if Ian MacLeod came in as I'm going to bring back classic horror comedy and raise the show up from the dark pit that Kate Oates left it in. If his, major episode, and I don't think he will stay much longer than the 60th. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear his imminent moving on at some point this year, and that's his swan song.
I don't agree with you.
And for him,
I think he's got a few more years.
I wonder.
Okay.
But if it's too depressing and miserable and violent and everything, that's kind of going against what he came in the show to do, maybe.
Well, what are you going to have, the Great Custard Pie Massacre of just the two of us?
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. We might have a birth, because we had Hope born on the 50th anniversary.
Well, there are a few months. Watch out for new couples hooking up.
Yeah, well, if anyone's
Toya
looking
and Imran don't touch each other, because I don't want Toya giving birth and having a...
Toya's not going to have a baby.
Oh, maybe she will.
No.
Maybe she will.
I say now, I don't believe that Toya in any fashion is going to be the pivotal figure of the 60th anniversary. As much as I'd love it.
We could have a Romeo and Juliet kind of style.
But you know what? Whatever kind of disaster there is, somebody's going to need some damn fine counselling after that.
Perhaps.
And telling people they're going to be all right.
What about an explosion at the brewery, which requires the help of Henry Newton.
Yes.
Who comes in with his dashing good looks and his posh accent and his amazing flippy hair to save the day.
Something at the brewery could be interesting, because I've always wanted to know, like, what is beyond those gates.
I know.
They've had some scenes in the brewery in the distant past where Bet and Alec had to go and have a meeting with, Newton or Ridley there. But they haven't. But that's not been featured anywhere since. And the thing is, if you want to blow something like that up, you don't have to worry about how it's going to look on the street in the following months, because they just never show it again. They don't show it now. They show it for a bit. They blow it up, and the characters can talk about it in the following months.
I like this idea. There was
street is showered with booze, and all the guys there just getting their mouths open into the sky.
What city was it in? It was Boston. There was a horrible accident at molasses factory where the molasses just flowed into the street, which sounds kind of cool until you realise that it's boiling sugar. And people died horrible deaths.
Okay, so you don't like the idea of natural disaster, but what if we had a flood of beer?
Well, not necessarily beer, but just something at the brewery would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Like an explosion or something that happens, because they don't have to worry about Newton and Ridley. It's not a real company. Nobody's going to be knocking on their door going, you're disrespecting our... You know what I mean? There's no real equivalent that they can get in trouble for bringing into disrepute for their bad business practices.
Yeah, very true.
Like, perhaps they could be like, we've got to make more beer because it's Christmas and everyone wants to get drunk, so they have to put up with their families.
I'm trying to think of what the set's like there as well, like the outdoor set, because if they got rid of the brewery, is there room on the Media City set to say, well, and now we're going to build something else in its place and actually have that as part of the set?
It doesn't really matter, does it?
I guess not. That's not a bad idea.
It could be... The thing about it is, there's a lot of potential for it to become, unfortunately, comical. Like an explosion at a brewery kind of sounds like set up to a joke. That
sounds like something that would happen in The Simpsons, yeah.
Yes.
Homer goes to visit the Duff Brewery and
it explodes.
Yeah.
They need to do something with a set that perhaps is different, hasn't been done, and really, Newton and Ridley has never been in it before. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to do anything with the factory, because the factory's only just been started up. The everything else has been on fire or been crashed into. The bistro's been crashed into. The Rovers has been on fire.
The medical centre though.
The medical centre hasn't, and neither has the brewery been in it at all.
Yeah. So it could be.
And I really do think that the medical centre is in a good position to make this a very pivotal, because you can look at it from the bistro down the street. You've got a really great view of it from there. You've got the Rovers is very near, could take collateral damage. We've also got that fish and chip shop. I mean, they could have oil there that gets stored that ends up going
burning oil.
But how about Rosamond Street becomes a flaming river
of molten chip fat?
As the chip fat, like a vat of chip fat, gets knocked down as the oxygen tanks go up, and then the whole thing flows down to the kebab shop where some kind of scrag end of Donna goes up as well in a flaming ball.
See, with all this talk of massive stunts, and I think you're right, I think I would like something big.
I would
still like, away from it, to have some proper character stuff. I'd like there to be some quiet episodes. I'd like to have another two-hander. I'd like to have some of the legacy characters sitting down having a chat, because there has been an awful lot of plot-driven Coronation Street in recent years, and some of the character development isn't as strong as it used to be. And I'd really like some nice, quiet, lengthy scenes with some proper legacy characters just having a chat, because that's what Coronation Street was always about. I would love it.
I'm going to counter that with Coronation Street has done some quite nice legacy character kind of nods to past blah blah blah, but they really have a tendency of just dissolving that into two people or a bunch of people sitting around going, do you remember when this happened? Yes. Do you remember when that happened? Yes, I do. You know what I mean? Like we had it with Norris as well. Like, do you remember when this happened? Yeah, I do remember, because I've been watching it for years and years and years.
Well, maybe we could have...
And this is the problem with it is, when it's literally just characters reminiscing about things that have happened, you either remember it, in which case you're like, yes, I do remember that, or you don't remember it, in which case you're thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. You've alienated a bunch of people who have tuned in to watch this show for a week because they heard it was the 60th anniversary and they want there to be something cool happens. You can't get bogged down too much in reminiscing, and that's got to be the preceding, or you know what I mean, or the week after. But that has to be saved for another time.
Yeah, another time. But to be fair, on Coronation Street, the two-handers that they have done
I'm not talking about
like that.
Two-handers particularly.
No, but I'm thinking like a Curly and Raquel episode. There was a bit of remember how we used to be, but really a lot of it is how you've changed and what's going on now. And then it led to the big revelation that Curly had a daughter living in France, and then the Tracy and Deirdre two-hander also led to the big, confession from Tracy, yes, I did murder Carly Stubbs in cold blood. So maybe some kind of secret. Having a returning character, like a well-loved returning character, come and rekindle something with a current resident could be cool, or
well, I mean,
secret
I know
that someone's been harbouring for years. But then there was
this idea of a two-hander, but what about a three-hander?
Oh yeah, why not?
With Ken, Daniel, and someone else, because Ken and Daniel, to me, are kind of symbolic of Coronation Street, past and present. You've got the guy who's been in it since the very beginning, Ken Barlow, who's basically the story of Coronation Street, and then you've got Daniel, who's like the torch is being passed on to him. He's an amazing actor. He could definitely pull it off. He's got so much stuff. There's so much baggage with Daniel, and he's such a young character. He's got so much going on now. Yes, I know, but what else could there be? What other secrets? We still don't know quite that much about what happened when he was left by himself. Could they bring back his mum?
Denise, maybe. There's going to be somebody brought back, isn't there? There's got to be. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a celebrity guest, but I could do without it. With Daniel, I think he should be a focus because Rob Mallard is one of the best actors on Coronation Street at the moment.
But to be honest, the bar is quite high.
The bar is high, but he is up there. And him and Jack B. Shepherd, for me, are the two best male actors on Coronation Street, and one or the other needs to be the poster child for it, but I think it might be Gary Windass.
Jack P. Shepherd has had, live episodes in the past.
Yeah.
I do. Gary Windass, I'm going to put money on. I just really want a massive stunt. I want Gary Windass to be involved. I want an explosion. I want multiple sets involved. I want triage. I want Dr. Gaddis. I want Moira being an idiot. I want Gary with a gun. I want people dying. I want people running around. I want sieges. I want hostages. I want deaths. I want flaming rivers of molten chip fat. And I don't think it's too much to ask.
I don't mind any of that. And I know lots of people hate all of that stuff with Corrie, but if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know that we do like all that sort of stuff.
It's only one episode of the year.
It is, but having something drip throughout the year would be wonderful leading up to that. As I said, I want to be celebrating 2020 and not just a little week in December.
I mean, the good thing about a live episode is that obviously you can't get papped, but you can get the preparations for it being watched from. There are certain places you can stand in Media City and watch and look into, and they have before in the past been sort of caught preparing for big events like
not only that there is a leaker, isn't there, at ITV. Somebody is telling
the
usually
Phantom
the Sun
Piddler
things that are happening. Like if Rana's death had been kept a secret like it seems they were planning to, that would have been epic, but it was leaked in the Sun. There's been so much, and I really hope that Coronation Street can do something to tighten up their security.
They need to do a Agatha Christie and put some fake stories and
smoke out the rat. So aside from the show, because I think we're kind of drawing to the conclusion of this, it's been quite a fun discussion. Actually,
I've really got
Coronation Street, you got to surpass our expectations.
I know. I hope
disappointed.
I hope nobody's listening.
So aside,
worrying.
Ian MacLeod's listening, is to writing it down. Oh yeah, molten chip fat.
Brilliant. Oxygen tanks. Didn't think of that one.
Aside from the show, what other kind of things would you like to see to mark the episode? Because I don't think we're going to get quite the same amount of merch or extra documentaries or anything like that, but I hope that there's more than just the Queens of the Street, because that sounds like something that you could, pull out the bag whenever. Ooh. And I know they've got some big names.
I've just had a good idea.
I don't see that as being anything super amazing.
Coronation Street social media campaign where they set up Coronation Street characters with accounts, right? And then live tweet their reactions to things as stuff is going on. That would be really good fun. That would be really interactive. That would be very 2020.
Yeah.
And it would engage people. It would get that audience, that Emmerdale audience.
That might be quite fun.
That would be, I think it would be
fun.
You could trial that in a few episodes in the beginning of the year. I know it would be a lot of work, but if you you can set it up so that the tweets come out as things are happening on the show, and that would prepare people for what was going to happen.
They could have some big twists with it as well, couldn't they? Like, you know, say you got your Ryan Connor Twitter account that's tweeting all year, and then there's a twist that's revealed that actually it's been Gary Windass who's been posting, pretending to be Ryan Connor all along.
There's definitely...
there's the element of the unreliable narrator that could be woven into that.
There is... That would add an extra dimension. The challenge would be to make it so that it was an addition rather than something you had to rely on to understand what's going on in the story.
Yeah.
But if Coronation Street wants to make you watch it live and engage live and get the audience that are the younger people who rely on social media to share their opinions and stuff, that seems like a really good way of doing it. And I don't think it would cost that much. It's not the same as, you know, blowing up an oxygen tank. You just need very serious... Obviously you need to be... that it's not just going to be the social media department doing it. It's going to have to be storyliners, and it's going to have to take a lot of planning. But it can't just rely on budgets and throwing money at something. You have to pull stuff out the bag, and Coronation Street has to be about... You said character-driven storyline. This is the perfect way of doing it. And imagine if you're watching a show and then you're seeing different perspectives, like some, you know, Maria's saying one thing and Michelle's saying something different. Different perspectives, even just adding that different dimension, just adding that extra layer of stuff on top of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, revelations, but just that extra dimension of what different characters think of different things would be interesting enough.
They need to think about what constitutes a celebration in 2020, and not just...
That's very true.
Not just, you know, this is how we did it 10 years ago, so we'll do something like that again. I'd quite like to have the whole website revamped, to be honest, because the Coronation Street website is a little bit
clunky.
ropey, I would say. But I don't know how much traffic it gets or whether it's worth it.
If you get...
To drive people to something to drive people to the Coronation Street website, maybe, I don't know what. I'd like... Oh, I know, I've got an idea. I just remembered saying, I wrote down, what if they did like an interactive episode like that Bandersnatch? That could be quite cool. I don't know how it'd work, because I was thinking, like, could they have a spin-off DVD, but even they feel a bit I don't know whether they'd be any good, but having a streaming choose your own adventure for... No,
it doesn't have to be an individual tailored experience like Bandersnatch was. If you can set up phone lines for, you know, who do you want to win X Factor, you can set up what do you want to happen. If you're doing... That's really cool. If you're doing a live episode, at the end of every break, you could say, who do you want? What do you want to happen now? What should Gary do? Like, say Gary's on a rampage. What should Gary do? Or, you know, say Jenny and Johnny are hiding in the Rovers from Gary. What should they do? Hide in the basement, or, you know?
That would be fun. I guess the problem with that would be that the following episode, which was recorded 2 months ago, would have to follow on. I
genuinely don't think that it would be that much of an issue. I mean, at the end of it...
It'd have to be low stakes changes
but for example, if you say Gary's going to come and shoot Johnny and Jenny, where should they hide? The attic or the basement? They hide in the attic, or he goes to the basement. They hide in the basement. He goes to the attic. It doesn't matter. At the end of it, they survive, and then the next episode...
I would pick the attic in that situation, because we know what the Rovers cellar looks like, but I'm still waiting to see what Jenny and Johnny's recently refurbished attic looks like.
Should Jenny check out the ensuite?
Yeah. So I'd like there to be...
Also, you get money for the phone-ins.
That's very much true.
What about a live episode that breaks even? How about that, Ian? How about that?
Coronation Street app.
App that does what,
I don't know. But it sounds good. It's got a link to our podcast in it. Would be lovely. I'd like there to be a new title sequence, because the one that they're using from the moment is from 2010, so it's coming up to 10 years old, and I've never really liked the current title sequence. It's a bit too arty and a bit too brown, and I don't like the stuff that goes where they show like wider Manchester. It's a bit too blurry and zoomed in, and I think it's time for a bit of a refresh.
What about a new recording of the theme tune?
Well, they used this current one that they're using was recorded in 2010, so they had 50 years of the same arrangement of the theme tune, and then they changed it slightly, and people are like, what's that? That doesn't sound right. But
why don't they get the girl who did the Doctor Who theme tune?
Who's that? What?
The girl who did, the original Doctor Who theme tune?
Yeah.
She basically invented the genre of electronic music, and I feel really bad I don't remember her name. But she basically, there was no equipment. She got the tapes, and she physically manipulated them to make those sounds for the Doctor Who. She basically invented. So
we need someone to invent
a new genre of music
for
and
Coronation Street 60th anniversary. Just a small ask. Yeah.
Just put that like mid in the list, like midway through.
Speaking of Coronation Street music, if they are going to revamp the title scenes and everything, and please keep the meerkats, I want them to go back to the original, going to the break music, because now when it's break they go da 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 da. But what they used to do is the da 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 da. And I always felt that felt more natural, so they can return to that. That'd make me happy if they do nothing else.
I want them to end every episode with da 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 dun.
Well, they have that in EastEnders, don't they? Because they have their yeah. No, Corrie didn't do that. We don't sing that music on this podcast. I think that they should. I
want them to get Danny Dyer and shoot him.
I think I'd like there to be. I'd love there to be a dramatisation of maybe one of Maggie Sullivan's books, or have something like a wartime Corrie drama filmed just as a special. That would be fun, like a whole flashback episode. I would.
Yeah, put that under my Danny Dyer idea.
Absolutely love that.
Something in case there's money left over.
Because they did the Road to Coronation Street like we talked about earlier. So this is in the same vein as that. I'd like there to be.
Is there anything we don't want?
I want it all. If I say everything, badges, then surely I'll get some of it.
I want a specially commissioned Boodles diamond tiara with 60 diamonds.
I want a range of little figures like my Nintendo Amiibo
Funko
figures.
Pop Coronation Street.
Funko Pop Coronation Street. Please.
Write this down.
Oh, get in touch with them. That'd be amazing.
There's a Funko Pop Queen.
There's a Funko Pop everything. But not Coronation Street. Only the biggest, longest running soap in the whole of the world.
Yes, Funko Pop Coronation Street.
Although I did, as you know, we were saying we got the 10,000th episode coming up. I did a little bit of research on that, and I found that actually, compared to some other soaps, American ones, that doesn't actually
stack up impressively.
Coronation Street is the 14th longest running, in terms of episode count, program.
There's quite a lot of competition for different.
It's mostly American soaps that are in the top 10. Well, Guiding Light is the soap opera record. They had, and I think they finished now, 18,262 episodes. 18,000 episodes of Guiding Light.
So Coronation Street's on 10,000, not on 10,000.
It's not on 10,000. So they're basically got to go for 60 years, or they're up the episode count, I suppose.
Well, yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, but then there's the program with the longest number of episode counts, and they don't even have an exact number. It's got 20,000 plus episodes. Is this German kids show, I think, called Unser Sandmädchen, which means our little sandman or something like that. I don't know what it is, but I don't think Coronation Street has got much hope of topping that, unfortunately. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, Funko Pops. That sounds good. I'd like there to be. I think they will. Because this is easy, do something special for the set tour. Because I've already had, your Richard Hillman guide you around it for Coronation Street's Halloween. Everyone's Halloween. I think there should be different events on the set as the year goes on. That's easy money.
Meet Y.
Exactly. Meet these ex-cast members on the tour. They'll surely do that. And the tour's been going for a few years now, and I'm imagining that ticket sales are probably drying up a little bit. We've got the adverts on the TV, haven't we, that the Hez is narrating. So
get the Hez.
Yeah, meet Julie Hesmanhow. on the house. Oh no, I've got to learn how to say that. Yeah, something like that. That's similar to the convention idea that I had, I suppose.
Special screenings. How about a screening in at the Lowry of some key episodes?
That'd be a good idea. Just down the road, they could do something like that.
They could even do the Queens of Coronation Street or whatever it's called. A screening of that at the Lowry, and have it like a premiere and have everyone come.
Yeah, or even better, do something around the country, because don't make all your celebrations up in Manchester, because some of us can't get up to there very easily.
I think it's fine if you do that. I don't think you need to worry too much about.
Right, so I think that's about it. We've talked for a long time about this. I didn't know how long, whether we'd run out of ideas.
I've had a really great time gassing on about.
Yeah, and I'd really be interested.
Pie in the sky.
Interested to see how much of this actually does come true, and I want to know as well about what.
It's very easy to sit and say you can do all this stuff with no idea about the logistics or the cost or the production time involved, and we understand and we appreciate whatever we get, we'll be happy with.
I hope so.
Kind of.
I want to hear what listeners think, so please do write in and let us know. A year away from the anniversary, what do you want
a big storm
to see? And we'll pass all your messages on. There's nothing wrong. Big storm, it'd be brilliant. We did have a couple of patrons put in their thoughts on it. So Navdeep said it would be Ken with the main attraction on the 60th anniversary. After all, he's been there from the very beginning. Maybe there could be a This Is Your Life segment in which all his former lovers reappear. Get the lummers on.
Oh, Lummers! Corrie Lummers.
Joanna Lumley. On the 60th anniversary of Coronation Street.
Beating up Claudia.
Thing is, would she overshadow it? But yeah, bring back your Wendy Crozier, or what is she, Wendy Papagopoulos now. That'd be a good one. So he says, it'd be great to see the likes of Wendy Crozier, Maggie Redmond and Denise Osborne step onto the couples. Well, we did say earlier about getting Denise back, so maybe tie it into this.
Second vote for Denise.
They could give Claudia advice on how to keep him happy.
Claudia doesn't give two hoots about whether Ken's happy or not, as long as he's not dead from pneumonia. Rebecca says, I would like there to be a special fan event, like a convention to celebrate the 60th. I would also like special documentaries like the Audrey one we had this year. Yeah, because
it seemed to be the start of something with the Audrey. What do they call it? Coronation Street Icons, Audrey Roberts or something. So again...
It sounds like a branding for a wider range of...
Yeah.
A monthly one, that would be good.
Exactly.
When the football's not on.
Just those small little things, Coronation
mind.
Street, our requests. And as I say, listeners, write in and let us know what you think.
River of chip fat.